12 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few quarterbacks I have as sleeper options this week. The first guy, Matt Ryan of the Indianapolis Colts. So Matt Ryan, he's been back as the starter over the last 2 games here for this Colts team. One good game and one bad game for Ryan. Week 10 at Vegas in his return, 222 pass yards, a touchdown, 38 rush yards, and a rushing touchdown. A Week 11 in a tough matchup versus Philadelphia, 213 pass yards and 1 rush yard. So Week 12 here, a good matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers that give up the 3rd most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. And we just saw Joe Burrow have a monster ball game, over 35 fantasy points versus Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So right now, Matt Ryan's got pretty solid weapons in Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, obviously out of the backfield. Paris Campbell's come along over the last few weeks, and the rookie Alec Pierce showed some flashes. This week here, a Monday Night Football in a ball game where I think Matt Ryan could get anywhere from 18 to 25 fantasy points as a sleeper option right now, available in tons of fantasy leagues at 84%. He's a guy you could use if you're in a pinch this week or deeper leagues. The next guy is Bryce Perkins, a Los Angeles Rams, so he's a deep dive sleeper play, no doubt about it, available in 100% of fantasy leagues here. And he's taking first team reps and most likely going to start with Matt Stafford concussed once again, and John Wolford hurt with the neck injury, so in limited appearances so far here for Perkins. Week 10 versus Arizona, 4 rush yards and -3 pass yards. In Week 11 in New Orleans, towards the end of that game, where it came in after Stafford left, 64 pass yards, 5 rush attempts, 39 yards. So he's a running quarterback, obviously. He is Perkins. He's definitely got some athleticism. He's not on the level, obviously, of a Lamar Jackson or a Justin Fields, but maybe he's a guy that could get you 5 to 7 points on the ground here. So if you're in a deeper league, 2 quarterback leagues, and you need a guy in a pinch this week here in a game where they're going to have to throw and he's going to have to try to make plays with his legs here at Kansas City, if they're playing catch-up, this will be the time to do it. And the Chiefs, believe it or not, give up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. So right here for a deep sleeper, I got Bryce Perkins this week, and the 3rd and final quarterback I have as a sleeper option this week's Jacoby Brissett of the Cleveland Browns. So to be honest, Brissett, I think he's filled in pretty decent this season here for Deshaun Watson, and this is his farewell as a starter for the season here, Jacoby Brissett, with Watson coming back next week versus former team, coincidentally enough, at Houston. So the last few games here for Brissett, Week 8 versus Cincinnati, 278 pass yards, a touchdown, rushing touchdown with 12 rush yards and a fumble loss. Week 10 in Miami, 212 pass yards, a touchdown in that one, and 40 rushing yards. And in Week 11 at Buffalo and in Detroit, because of obviously the snow, that game was played in Detroit, 324 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 29 rush yards, and a fumble loss. So right here, middle of the pack type of matchup versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 12 that give up the 16th most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. And Jacoby Brissett, like I said, he's been a decent fill-in. I know the record don't show it here for this Cleveland Brown team, especially losing 6 out of 7 ball games. But Brissett's going out there and giving him a chance. Just this defense isn't really making stops, and he's got decent weapons in Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So this week in a game where he's probably going to play catch-up and from behind in this one, where he's going to have to pass, Brissett's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few quarterbacks I have as sleeper options here for Week 12 of the fantasy football season.